Thank you so much, everyone, for being in attendance today. I'm going to take the opportunity to just show you a handful of slides before turning things over to my colleague, Kelli Goody, so that she can give you a product demonstration. As mentioned, Kelli Goody is here with us today. She is our Senior Strategic Solutions Consultant. She's been with Martus for a handful of months now and has quite a bit of not only public accounting experience, but experience in the technology world as well. And I am the Senior Director of Partnerships here at Martus, and I've been around for about two and a half years, and the vast majority of my software career has been spent in not only ERP, but in FP&A solutions as well. We are a 17-year-old company. We have about 1,100 customers these days, and we have about 65 reseller partners and about 25 referral partners. Also important to recognize that we have a net promoter score of a little bit north of 50 and a churn rate of between 4.5 and 5% these days. And I'll get on to just addressing a little bit of our functionality before I turn things over to Kelli. So while we are very well known as a budgeting solution, we are actually far more multifaceted than that. So we are known for our collaborative budgeting capability, which allows organizations to get out of Excel spreadsheets as they're experiencing some significant scalability. Further, we have a very robust personnel budgeting module that Kelli will take the opportunity to show you that allows you to plan, forecast, and manage headcount and compensation with true granular precision. We have not only out-of-the-box financial reporting capability, but we have a custom report builder as well. So not only the flexibility of the out-of-the-box reports, but the customization capability. And then last but not least, we have not only a forecasting capability within our planner summary, but we have a forecasting module and cash flow forecasting capability as well. That is really my opportunity to share with you these slides. I really want to turn things over to Kelli so that she can show you the product demonstration. Kelli?
Yes, thanks, Chris. So hello, and thank you for having us. So today I'm going to be walking through how Martus helps our Sage 300 customers by not only making budgeting and reporting easier, but it also gives every department, not just the finance department, the tools they need to collaborate so they can spend less time on spreadsheets and more time on strategy. In today's demo, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of our pre-built reports, our report builder, how we get the data into Martus from Sage 300, our different budget creation tools, our personnel budgeting, and some of our forecasting tools. Before we get started, I do want to preface that today I am demoing as an admin user, which means that I have access to see all of these modules on the side, as well as all of the data within my budget to actuals. But we understand that not every single user is going to have that level of access. So with that said, if I have some user that only needs to see Department 100, when they log into Martus, they are only going to see that data that is related to them. Right out of the box, Martus is going to offer all of these different pre-built reports because we want to make sure that every single user has access to see the data that they need to see. Moving over to our income statement, we're still looking at this as a non-admin user, but if I want to look at this report again as a full administrative user, you will see that we have a lot of data where we're showing our actuals to our budget, as well as our year-to-date amounts and our annual budget. One thing that's really nice about Martus is that although these pre-built reports are pre-built, they are very flexible. So within any of these areas, these actuals where you see a hyperlink, that means you can drill down, and we are going to take you to the transaction data straight from Sage 300 that you have uploaded. Every report, you're going to have the option to modify any of your columns. We have all of these filters. Right here, you'll see these are the segments that I'm currently showing, which is location, department, project. This can differ based off your Sage 300 setup. I can also adjust my rows. So for example, if I don't want to see my accounts and I want to see my department view summary, with a click of the button, I can now show all of my departments. I can also change my columns. I can do it by years, location. I can also do it by my different segments. So if I do that, I can now see all of my departments and then all of my locations on the side. One thing that's great about this is that users don't have to have access to the ERP to see this data, and they can really slice and dice all of their reports in any way that they want. Again, one thing that's great about Martus is that after your first kickoff call and we've brought in all of the data from Sage 300, you are going to have access to all of these reports to start using them. Beyond these pre-built reports that we offer, we also have something called our report builder. So this is for a lot of those people that might be a little more savvy and they know how they want to take their reports to the next level. So here's an example of one that I've created right here. I've added the logo, I have some charts. Here's that income statement again, and I've just taken that a step further. Here's another example. I've added some KPI cards, I've moved some columns around, I've added calculations. We've also started incorporating AI into this. So similar to ChatGPT, you can type in your prompt what kind of report you want, and we are going to then spit out that report that is available. So really exciting time at Martus. I always do like to start with these reports because this is, again, something you can start using right out of the box after that first kickoff call when we've got the data in. As for our updater here on the left, this is our integration with Sage 300 is flat file. So we are going to help you get set up to bring in all of your transactions. We are going to provide those files. And you can also, we will assist with mapping all of the different account categories, chart of accounts, and then you will just be responsible for maintaining that subsequently, and we will teach you how to do that. It's very easy within Martus. So those are our pre-built reports and our report builder. Now I want to get into the exciting part, which is where the work of the budgeting is done in Martus. So right now you are looking at a consolidated view of the budget that I've been working on this year. This is our planner summary report. A common challenge we hear from our finance teams, especially those still using Excel, is lack of visibility and control while they're budgeting, and a lot of challenges with getting all of that data consolidated. Right here, you're going to see how easy that is. So if I drill down into one of these line items, you are going to see what we call our worksheets. These worksheets, these are going to be based off of your different segments. Again, we can create these worksheets based off of your needs in your system. And all of these worksheets are going to be assigned to whoever department heads that are in charge of filling out these budget worksheets. As department heads are setting these up, we are going to automatically consolidate all of that data right into this consolidated budget. So in real time, an admin can see where their budget stands and what the status of that is. Moving on to where the work of the worksheets are done, this is where the actual budgeting happens. This is in our worksheet area. I like to think of our worksheets as the different Excel tabs that maybe a user is currently using. So again, these are going to be listed out by your different segments within Sage 300 that we're going to bring in, very customizable. You're going to see the status of all of the different worksheets that need to be filled out as an admin, as well as you can assign approvers and owners. If I'm not an admin and I'm responsible for filling this out, I am not going to see anything that I'm not responsible for. Let's talk about what it looks like to fill out a budget worksheet. So when we, during the onboarding process, we can bring in any reference data that you have, any prior year budgets, however you want. When a user comes in to start filling out their worksheets, again, defined by those segments up here at the top, we give you the option to view that reference data. So this will help users fill out their budget very easily. Once a user has decided how they want to fill out their budget, if we're starting with a zero-based budget like I am right now, all I have to do with a click of a button is select initialize. I can select if I want to use all my 2024 actual numbers. This is a 2024 demo environment, or I can do a combination of my different numbers. So if I want to do October through November, I can also increase this by 5%, decrease it however I want to, set those values. And as you can see, I very easily populated all of these line items. I can also go in, drill, I can make any changes, save that. One of our most popular options though is our budget widget. So if I select this drop down right here, we will give different adjustment types. So for example, monthly, if I have a monthly amount of $100, I click preview, we will then allocate that across all of the different months. I can do weekly, bi-weekly, annual. I can also create allocations. One of our most popular would be copying existing values. So if I want to adjust for any seasonality, I can select one of my 12-month trailing actuals. I can adjust that by 5%. If I preview that, you'll see that we have already done the calculation. I can add any notes right here. If I can spell notes, we'll just go with that. I'm going to save this. And now you'll see that we have all of our notes listed out. I can drill over this and I can see how that was calculated. Again, going back to that collaborative aspect, we want to make it easy for not only the people that are filling out the budget to do this, but also for the people that are going to be approving this. Once I feel good about my budget, I can go submit it. We can also take this a step further, and if you want to add additional detail calculations, we have something called special purpose worksheets in which you can add additional detail. Right here, I have my different software subscriptions. That amount is what is comprising that budget line, and I can see how all of that was calculated. I have calculations up here at the top, and I'm posting that back to my worksheet. So just another way for us to add additional detail to make it easy for the approvers to come in and take a look at everything. Once that budget is done, I can go ahead and I can submit that, and that will get sent to the first approver. They will get an email, and we can start the process of the approval process. So high level overview, that is how quickly I can fill out one of my budget worksheets. And then again, that will all get consolidated into that overall budget. Moving over, we do have a forecasting option. So we can do multi-year forecasting as well as what if scenarios. Here's an example of a what if scenario that I've created. This is a best case, worst case using that underlying budget that we just created. With a click of the button, I can bring in any of those segments. I can then adjust them by 10%, 25%, and I can quickly create reports to send out. Lastly, I do want to touch on our personnel budgeting. So within Martus, our personnel budgeting is where you can easily create different scenarios to model what your benefit and salary projections are going to be. Here you'll see I have a base scenario as well as a COLA 4% scenario. With Martus, we are position-based budgeting. So what that means is that you can tie an employee to a position, but since it is position-based, this allows you to budget for vacant positions or even pooling positions. What that means right here is I have 7 counselor positions. If I just wanted to do one counselor for these 7 and assign 7 FTEs, I could certainly do this. This is very common with a lot of our not-for-profit customers. Moving over, let's take a look at one of these positions and what we're tracking. If I click Daisy here, you will see this position is tied to an employee. I can add the full-time equivalent. There's that pooling option. I have a start and an end date. If these are blank, that means it's a full-time employee for the full year, but you could add a start date if they maybe start mid-year or they're a seasonal employee. I can also assign segments to these employees. We can also split them and allocate them across different segments. Again, in not-for-profits, sometimes people need to split their time across different projects, grants, things like that. Over here on the right, you'll see all of the pay types. We will help you set up those pay types. We're going to assign the different pay types to every employee. Once all of those are assigned, I'm going to go into my detail right here, and you will see for that position Daisy, this is all of the pay types that comprise her salary and all of her benefits. Very easy to track all of this, and we can do this for all of the different employees, and you can track all of their compensation. Once you've finished all of your personnel budgeting, what's great about Martus is that we are going to put all of that detail back onto those budget worksheets, but you'll see that we don't have any of the employee information. It's all very limited, and then again, we can just post that right back to those budget worksheets that we were looking at. That was a very quick high-level overview. Certainly, if you would like more information or have any client-specific questions, we would be happy to talk about them. So,
thanks, Kelly. So far, we've got a couple questions. What's the typical implementation timeline?
Yeah, that's a great question. So after that first kickoff call, you will, and we have all of the data that we can sync into Martus. You can start using, again, our reports right away. Then we will set up some trainings. We'll do a reports and setup training, a budgeting training. Some people can get that knocked out in 2 weeks. It just really depends on your pace. But again, after that first session, as long as we have all of the data that we need, it is a very swift onboarding process.
Okay, and then the other question I have here, managers won't use this regularly, so do they have to be retrained frequently?
So, I mean, I would always say, you would want to encourage some of your managers, hopefully, to be tracking their budget. So in terms of what they would be doing is that we would give them access typically to the reports so they could track. And then in terms when it comes to the budgeting season and they have to fill out their different worksheets, as you saw, it's a pretty straightforward process. So I would say that it would be very, you may need to retrain them, but again, we have a very robust support team and we will help with the new budgeting season to make sure that everyone is up to speed and they know what they need to do.